welcome to this communication skill course. In today's world, how you communicate is just as important as what you say. Whether you are leading a team, presenting ideas, or simply building better relationship, strong communication skills are your superpower. This course is designed to give you a complete foundation from understanding the basics of how communication works to mastering both verbal and non-verbal techniques. Let's take a quick look at what you will learn in each module. In the first module, we'll learn about foundations of effective communication. We'll begin with the core concepts, what communication really is, how the communication process flows, and the barriers that often get in the way. This will set the stage for everything else. In the second module, we'll cover about the verbal communication skills. We'll dive into the power of your words. You'll learn how tone and pitch shape your message and how to become a better listener, one of the most underrated communication skills out there. Third module, we'll talk about non-verbal communication. We'll explore the unspoken language, body language, facial expressions, gestures, posture, and eye contact. Those cues often speak louder than words. In Module 4, we'll talk about communication in different settings. We'll look at how to adapt your communication style in different scenarios, whether it's in professional settings, while giving a presentation, or while navigating conflict. And by the end of this course, you will have practical tools and insights to communicate clearly, confidently, and with purpose, wherever life takes you. So let's get started with Module 1. Module 1, Foundations of Effective Communication. Let's be real. Communication is everywhere, whether you are chatting with a friend, sitting in a team meeting, or introducing yourself at a party. How you say things can completely change the way people respond to you. We are diving into what communication really is, how the whole process works, and some common things that get in the way of a smooth conversations. And by the end of this course, you will have solid foundation. And trust me, everything we cover here will make the rest of the course feel a whole lot easier. So let's jump right in. First, let's understand communication. At its core, communication is the act of conveying information, ideas, thoughts, and emotions between individuals. It's a complex and dynamic process that involves both verbal and non-verbal elements. The primary goal of communication is to ensure that the intended message is received, understood, and acted upon by the recipient. Now that we have broken down what communication really is and how it shows up in our lives, let's take a step further and look at how the whole communication process actually works, from sender to receiver and everything in between. Now, let's talk about the role of communication. Communication serves various purposes. It can be used to inform, persuade, entertain, and express emotions. The intent behind communication determines its tone and method. For example, in a workplace setting, communication may primarily be used to provide information, give you instructions, or collaborate on projects. Now, on the other hand, in a personal relationship, communication may focus more on emotional expression, understanding, and empathy. Now, there are several forms of communication, including first we have verbal communication. Now, this communication includes spoken words and written messages. It is the most direct form of communication and is typically used for sharing information or ideas. Then we've got non-verbal communication. Often overlooked, non-verbal communication refers to body language, facial expressions, gestures, posture, and even silence. These non-verbal cues can often carry more meaning than the words we speak, as they reveal our true emotions and attitudes. At number 3, we have visual communication. Now, this involves using images, charts, graphs, and videos to convey messages. It is especially important in presentations and marketing. So now that you have understood the types of communication, let's understand the impact of communication it has in our daily life. Communication plays a crucial role in shaping every area of our lives, from personal relationship to professional environments. The way we express ourselves and understand others directly affects our experiences and outcomes. Effective communication builds trust, fosters deeper connections, improves collaboration, and boosts overall productivity. It helps individuals share ideas clearly, resolve issues smoothly, and work towards common goal efficiently. Now, on the other hand, poor communication often results in misunderstandings, delays, and conflicts that can harm relationships and hinder progress. In today's fast-paced world, being able to communicate effectively is not just helpful, it's essential for both personal development and career success. Now let's talk about the communication process. Communication is not one-way street. It's a dynamic process involving multiple steps with each participant playing a crucial role. Understanding this process is key to mastering effective communication. Let's talk about the key elements of the communication process. The communication process consists of several elements, each contributing to the flow and understanding of the message. The first element is sender. The sender is the individual or entity who originates the message. This person has an idea, thought, or emotion they wish to convey to somebody else. The sender is responsible for encoding the message clearly and appropriately, ensuring that it is understood by the receiver. Then we've got message. The message is the content that is being communicated. It can be in the form of spoken words, written text, or non-verbal cues like gestures. The message must be clear, concise, and relevant to the context in which it is being communicated. Now let's understand what encoding means. Now this refers to the process by which the sender translates their thoughts, their ideas, or their emotions into a format that can be communicated. Encoding involves choosing the right words, right symbols, or the actions that will convey the intended meaning. Then we have medium. Now the medium is the method by which the message is being transmitted from the sender to the receiver. This could be a face-to-face conversation, a phone call, an email, a video conference, or even social media platform. The choice of medium is as important as it can affect how the message is being perceived. Then we have receiver. The receiver is the individual of group who receives the message. The receiver must be attentive, open-minded, and engaged in order to understand the message accurately. So now that you have understood how receiver works, let's understand how decoding works. Now, once the message is received, the receiver must decode it or interpret it. Decoding involves processing the information and translating it back into the meaning. The effectiveness of this step depends on the receiver's understanding, their background, and the context. Then we have feedback. Feedback is the response from the receiver's back to the sender. It indicates whether the message was understood as intended. Feedback can be verbal or non-verbal, such as nod, a smile, or a direct response. It allows the sender to gauge the effectiveness of the communication and make adjustments if necessary. Now let's understand what noise means. Noise refers to any external or internal factors that can distort or interfere with the communication process. Noise can be physical, for example, background noise. Psychological noise like biases, prejudices, or semantic, for example, misunderstanding of words. Reducing noise is essential for clear communication. So now that you know how communication flows, let's talk about what gets in the way, because even the best message can fall flat if certain barriers are in the play. Let's explore those next. Now we'll talk about barriers to communication. Effective communication can often be obstructed by various barriers. These barriers can occur at any stage of the communication process, from encoding the message to decoding it. Identifying and overcoming these barriers is crucial for improving communication skills. Now, there are certain types of communication barriers. Let's have a look. At first, we have physical barriers. These include environmental factors that make it difficult to communicate, such as background noise, poor phone or internet connections, or even physical distance between the sender and the receiver. Now, these physical barriers can be minimized by choosing a quiet space for communication or using reliable communication tools. Then we have language barriers. Language differences or technical jargons can create misunderstandings. This is particularly true in cross-cultural communication or when discussing complex topics. Now, to overcome this barrier, it is very important to use clear and simple language that the receiver can easily understand. Avoiding unnecessary jargon and using common language can help bridge the gap. Then we have psychological barriers. Psychological factors such as stress, emotions, or personal biases can affect how we communicate and how we perceive the message from others. For example, if someone is angry or distracted, they may not be able to listen attentively or may misinterpret the message. Now, to mitigate psychological barriers, it's very important to maintain emotional control and focus on the message at hand. Then we have cultural barriers. Cultural differences can impact how messages are conveyed and understood. For example, gestures, tone of voice, and even silence may have different meanings in different cultures. To overcome cultural barriers, it's very important to be aware of cultural norms and be respectful of differences. In international communication, it may be useful to learn about other parties' culture and adapt accordingly. Next, we have perceptual barriers. Perceptions and assumptions about the sender or the message can distort communication. Let's say, for example, if a receiver perceives the sender to be untrustworthy or uninterested, they may not be fully engaged with the message. To reduce perceptual barriers, it's very important to ensure transparency, trust, and clarity in communication. Next, we'll talk about emotional barriers. Emotional states such as anger, fear, or frustration can make it difficult to communicate effectively. When emotions are running high, people may struggle to listen or express themselves clearly. To overcome emotional barriers, it's important to stay calm, composed, and open-minded. Practicing empathy and active listening can also help. Next, we have information overload. In the modern world, we are constantly bombarded with information, which can lead to overload. When we are overwhelmed with too much of information, we may miss key messages or struggle to process them. Now, to avoid information overload, it's very important to prioritize messages and focus on what is most important. Next, we're going to talk about lack of feedback. If feedback is not provided, the sender has no way of knowing whether the message was understood correctly. Now, lack of feedback can lead to confusion and even miscommunication. Providing and seeking feedback is very important for ensuring that the communication is effective. So now that you have understood the barriers, let's talk about how to overcome barriers to communication. Overcoming communication barriers requires awareness, effort, and the right strategies. Here are some ways to minimize the impact of these barriers. First is clarify the message. You have to make sure that your message is clear and concise. Use simple language and examples to explain complex ideas. Next is active listening. Focus on the speaker, avoid interrupting, and reflect back what you have heard to ensure understanding. Then we have empathy. Be sensitive to the emotions and perspective of others. Try to see things from their point of view. Next is feedback. Always seek feedback and provide it. Encourage open dialogue to ensure the message is understood as intended. Then we have adaptation. Be willing to adapt your communication style based on the context, the medium, and the audience. So learners, in this module, we have laid the foundation for understanding communication. We have explored what communication is, the essential elements that make up the communication process, and the common barriers that can impede effective communication. Now, by recognizing and addressing these barriers, we can significantly improve the clarity and the impact of our communication. As we move on to our next modules, we will delve deeper into specific communication skills such as verbal and non-verbal communication, and learn how to apply these skills in different contexts. But before we do that, remember that the key to become an effective communicator starts with understanding the basics. By mastering these fundamental concepts, you will be well on your way to build stronger, more meaningful connections in both personal and professional settings. Now, in the second module, we'll talk about verbal communication skills. Verbal communication is one of the most fundamental skills for effective interaction. So whether it's in a professional environment, in personal relationships, or during public speaking engagements, the way we express ourselves through words play a significant role in how our messages are received. In this module, we will explore 3 essential components of verbal communication. We'll understand the power of words, tone, and pitch, and effective listening. Mastering these elements will help you communicate more clearly, persuasively, and meaningfully. Now first, let's talk about the power of words. Words are more than just a medium for conveying thoughts. They are powerful tools that can influence, motivate, inspire, and even hurt. The words we choose, the way we express them, and the context in which we use them can shape the nature of our relationships and impact our success in communication. Let's have a look on the impact of language. Language has the ability to reflect our intentions and shape the way people perceive us. Let's say, for example, how two individuals can use the same message but achieve different outcomes based on their choice of words. For instance, positive words like I'm excited to collaborate with you and explore new opportunities. We also have negative words like this is going to be a lot of work and I'm not sure it will be worth it or not. You see, both the sentences essentially communicate a similar idea, working together, but the first sentence conveys enthusiasm and positive attitude, while the second sentence communicates doubt and reluctance. The first sentence is more likely to motivate and engage the listener, while the second may lead to disengagement. The power of words lies in their ability to evoke emotions, create mental images, and provoke thought. By choosing our words carefully, we can strengthen our message and connect with others on a deeper level. Let's talk about how words create reality. The words we use can also shape our perception of reality. This is the basis of the famous saying, words are powerful. For example, the way we describe a challenge can determine how we approach it. Negative framing, like this is a problem, we might not be able to solve it. We have positive framing, like this is a challenge we can work through together. Now you can see that the second statement suggests hope and a sense of control, while the first statement emphasizes the difficulty and potential failure. Positive framing creates an environment where solutions are sought and challenges become opportunities to grow. Let's talk about choosing the words for impact. Now, to harness the power of words effectively, it's very important to consider both the connotation and denotation of the words we use. Denotation is literal meaning of the word. For example, love, which means deep affection. Connotation refers to the emotional or cultural associations with the word. For example, love might evoke feelings of warmth, happiness, or vulnerability. Now, by carefully selecting words with positive connotations, we can craft messages that inspire action, promotes goodwill, and foster collaboration. Words carry weight, but it's not just about what you say. It's about how you say it that makes up the difference. Up next, let's explore tone and pitch and how they bring your words to life. Tone and pitch are critical elements of verbal communication. While words carry meaning, it is the tone and pitch which we deliver them that determine how the message is received and how it is interpreted. But what exactly is tone? Now, tone refers to the emotional quality or attitude behind a speaker's voice. It conveys feelings such as happiness, sadness, anger, excitement, or calmness. Tone is an essential part of communication because it affects how the listener interprets the message. For example, a statement like, I'm happy to help, could be perceived in vastly different ways depending on the tone. Let's suppose warm and genuine tone. It would be something like, I'm happy to help, which sounds sincere and inviting. Then we have monotone or indifferent tone. I'm happy to help. This may sound insincere or apathetic. The tone of voice can either reinforce the words we say or contradict them. For example, if somebody says, I'm fine, but their tone sounds upset, the listener may infer that the person is not truly fine. Tone, therefore, has the power to reveal underlying emotions and intentions that may not be immediately evident in the words themselves. Now let's talk about pitch. Pitch refers to the highness or lowness of a person's voice. It plays a very significant role in the overall tone and impact of a message. A speaker who uses a varied pitch is more likely to engage the listener and keep their attention, while a speaker who uses a flat or monotone pitch may sound boring or disengaging. Let's take an example. A higher pitch is often associated with excitement, enthusiasm, and urgency. Think of how a speaker might raise their pitch when presenting something that they are passionate about. Then we have low pitch. A lower pitch can convey authority, seriousness, and calmness. It is often used when making important points or delivering serious information. Now, pitch variation also helps convey emotions more effectively. When you're excited, your pitch naturally rises. When you're conveying authority or seriousness, your pitch might drop. Being mindful of pitch variation can enhance the emotional impact of your words. Let's talk about tone and pitch in different contexts. Tone and pitch are particularly important in different communication contexts. First of all, let's talk about in professional settings. In a business meeting or interview, a confident and clear tone with appropriate pitch variation can demonstrate competence and authority. Conversely, a flat or unsure tone may undermine the message and create doubt. Then we have in personal communication. In conversations with family or friends, the tone of voice may express affection, care, or frustration. Understanding tone helps to maintain healthy, empathetic relationships. Mastering tone and pitch allows you to communicate more effectively by emphasizing your emotions, your intentions, and engagement in a way that words alone cannot. Now you have seen how tone and pitch shape the message, but communication isn't a solo act. It's a two-way street. And that brings us to one of the most overlooked yet essential skills, listening. Let's dive into it. Effective listening. Listening is an often overlooked aspect of verbal communication. While speaking and expressing ourselves are important, listening is equally vital. In fact, effective communication requires us to be good at listening as we are speaking. Without active listening, even the best prepared message can fall flat. Now, what is actually active listening? Active listening is the process of fully concentrating on what is being said rather than passively hearing the message. It involves not only hearing the words but also understanding, interpreting, and responding to them in a thoughtful manner. Now, active listening includes several key components. First, we've got paying attention. Now, this means focusing fully on the speaker, eliminating distractions, and giving them your undivided attention, showing that you're listening. Non-verbal cues, just nodding, maintaining eye contact, and using affirming gestures. For example, I see, or go on, signal to the speaker that you are engaged. Providing feedback. Paraphrasing or summarizing the message shows that you have understood it. Then we've got deferring judgment. Avoid interrupting or forming opinions while the speaker is talking. Active listening involves being open-minded and non-judgmental. It's very important to respond appropriately. When it's your turn to speak, offer relevant comments, ask clarifying questions, or provide feedback that furthers the conversation. Let's have a look on the benefits of active listening. Active listening not only fosters better communication, but it helps build stronger relationships. When people feel heard and understood, they are more likely to feel valued and respected. In professional settings, active listening can improve teamwork, reduce misunderstandings, and increase productivity. Now, there are often some barriers to effective listening. Let's have a look on that. First, we've got distractions. External noises or internal distractions, such as preoccupation with thoughts, can make it hard to focus on the message. Then we've got prejudices. If we have preconceived ideas or biases, we might filter the message through those biases, affecting our understanding. Then we have emotional responses. Sometimes our emotions can cloud our ability to listen effectively. For example, if we are angry or upset, we may misinterpret the speaker's intention. Now, to overcome these barriers, it is important to consciously focus on the speaker, stay present in the moment, and remain empathetic and open-minded. Let's look at some ways how to improve your listening skills. Improving listening skills takes practice. Here are some few tips. Listen with an open mind. Suspend judgment until you fully understand the speaker's message. Secondly, avoid multitasking. Give your full attention on the conversation and resist the urge to check your phone or email. Third is clarify misunderstandings. Don't be afraid to ask questions if you need further explanation. Be patient. Allow the speaker to express themselves fully without interrupting or jumping in with your thoughts too soon. Now, by enhancing your listening skills, you improve your ability to understand others and respond in a meaningful and constructive way. Verbal communication is a powerful tool for expressing ideas, emotions, and intentions. In this module, we have explored three critical aspects of verbal communication: the power of words, tone and pitch, and effective listening. By mastering these elements, you can significantly enhance your ability to communicate more clearly and persuasively. Remember, the words you choose shape how your message is received. The tone and pitch of your voice convey emotions and intent that words alone may not express. And perhaps most importantly, being an active listener ensures that communication is a two-way process that promotes understanding as well as connection. By practicing these skills and becoming more mindful of how you communicate, you can build stronger relationships, you can improve your professional interactions, and express yourself more effectively in any situation. Welcome to Module 3, where we'll talk about non-verbal communication. Non-verbal communication is a crucial aspect of how we interact with others. In fact, studies suggest that up to 93% of communication is non-verbal, with body language, facial expressions, and tone of voice conveying far more than words alone. This module explores three fundamental components of non-verbal communication: body language and its impact, second, facial expressions and gestures, and third is eye contact and posture. So mastering these non-verbal cues can significantly enhance the clarity and effectiveness of your communication. So first, let's talk about body language and its impact. Now, body language refers to the non-verbal signals that we send through our body movements, posture, and physical gestures. It plays a vital role in conveying feelings, emotions, and intentions, often more than so the words we speak. The body language is subconscious and can reveal underlying emotions, your thought process, and attitudes, making it a powerful tool for communication. Let's talk about the power of body language. Body language includes various movements such as facial expressions, hand gestures, posture, and even the way we talk. Either of these signals can either reinforce or contradict the message we are verbally communicating. Let's say, for example, when speaking with someone, your arms crossed over your chest may convey defensiveness, even if your words suggest openness. Likewise, an open posture with relaxed shoulders may show that you are receptive and at ease, even if the conversation is tense. Now, research shows that the body language can account for a significant portion of how we are being perceived. In fact, according to the studies by renowned psychologist Albert Mehrabian, body language contributes to around 55% of the communication process, while the words contribute only 7% and the tone of the voice accounts for 38%. Now, this shows just how influential non-verbal cues are in shaping how others interpret our communication. Now, there are some key elements of body language. First is your posture. That is, how we sit, stand, and move can communicate our mood. Confidence and attitude. For example, standing tall with shoulders back can indicate your confidence and authority, while slumping or leaning can signal discomfort or disinterest. Second is our gestures. Hand movements and gestures can complement or emphasize our speech. Let's say, for example, a thumbs up can convey approval, while open palms may indicate honesty or a willingness to listen. Now, on the other hand, excessive or erratic gestures may distract from the message being delivered. Then we have facial expressions. The face is perhaps the most expressive part of the body, capable of conveying wide range of emotions. A smile can indicate happiness, warmth, and friendliness, while a furrowed brow might suggest confusion, concern, or anger. Then we have proximity. The distance we maintain during a conversation can also send powerful message. Standing too close to someone may invade their personal space and they can make it uncomfortable, while standing too far away might come off as distant or disengaged. Maintaining an appropriate distance based on the relationship and context is very important. Let's talk about how body language impacts communication. First of all, it builds trust. Positive body language, such as maintaining an open posture, leaning forward, and making eye contact, can establish trust and create rapport with the another person. Now, on the other hand, close body language, such as crossed arms or avoiding eye contact, can create a barrier and make the other person feel distant or distrusted. Then we have emotional expression. Our bodies often reveal emotions that we may not explicitly state. A simple gesture such as raised eyebrow or a clenched fist can convey frustration, excitement, or surprise. Being aware of these cues in yourself and others can help you better understand and respond to the emotions at play. Next, we'll talk about enhancing message delivery. Body language helps to reinforce the message we are delivering. For instance, when giving a presentation, a speaker might use hand gestures to emphasize points or facial expressions to align with the tone of the message. These cues help to keep the audience engaged and make the message more impactful. Next is cultural differences. It's very important to remember the body language that can vary across cultures. In some cultures, maintaining eye contact is seen as a sign of respect, while in others, it may be perceived as rude. Similarly, gestures that are commonly used in one culture may be offensive in another. Now, being aware of these differences can help avoid misunderstandings in cross-cultural communication. Now, this sounds fascinating, right? Body language can reveal so much without saying a word. And one of the most expressive parts of a body, that is the face. Now, up next, let's break down some facial expressions and gestures and how they can completely change the vibe of a conversation. Facial expressions and gestures. Now, facial expressions are one of the most significant elements of non-verbal communication. The face is capable of conveying a wide array of emotions, often in response to external stimuli or personal feelings. Now, these expressions are universal across cultures and can give us insight into how somebody is feeling or reacting, even if they do not verbally express it. The human face is incredibly expressive, capable of conveying a multitude of emotions such as happiness, sadness, surprise, anger, disgust, fear, and many more. Now, each emotion is associated with specific muscle movement in the face. For example, a smile typically involves the raising of the corners of the mouth, while frowning can cause the eyebrows to furrow and the mouth to turn downward. Now let's talk about happiness. A genuine smile where the eyes also appear to smile signals happiness and friendliness. A fake smile, however, might not involve the mouth and not the eyes, which can come off as insincere. Next, we have sadness. Now, a sad expression is often marked by a downturned mouth, dropping eyelids, and lack of energy in the facial muscles. Next expression, we've got surprise. Raised eyebrows, wide eyes, and an open mouth are common signs of surprise or being shocked. This is often an involuntary response to unexpected or startling information. Then we have anger. Tightening of the jaw, furrowed brows, and narrowed eyes are typical facial indicators of anger. This expression is often seen when someone feels frustrated or offended. Next, we have fear. Widened eyes, raised eyebrows, and open mouth are signs of fear, often a response to perceived danger or threat. Let's talk about the role of gestures in our daily life. Gestures or movements of the hands and arms are an important part of non-verbal communication. They can serve to emphasize a point, express emotions, or even replace words entirely. Gestures can be divided into two categories. First, we've got illustrators. Second is emblems. Let's know what are illustrators. Now, these are gestures that accompany and enhance verbal communication. Let's say, for example, using your hand to show the size of an object while describing it. These gestures help clarify and reinforce what is being said. Second, we have emblems. Now, emblems are gestures that have a specific meaning in a particular culture and can stand in for words. For example, a raised hand with the palm facing forward may signal stop or halt, and a thumbs up often means approval. Now, while gestures can enhance communication, they can also be misinterpreted if not used appropriately. Let's say, for instance, crossing your arms during a conversation may suggest defensiveness or closed behavior, even if you're simply feeling cold. Let's talk about the impact of facial expressions and gestures. The facial expression and gestures can significantly impact the clarity of your message. They help others understand the emotional context of your words and give insight into your inner feelings. Let's say, for example, a smile paired with words of encouragement can provide warmth and make the message more effective. On the other hand, a sarcastic tone with furrowed brow can confuse or even alienate the listener. Gestures can also be a powerful tool in public speaking. A speaker who uses purposeful hand gestures to emphasize points or convey enthusiasm is likely to hold the audience's attention more effectively. However, overusing gestures can also be distracting, so it's very important to use them in moderation. As with body language, cultural differences also should be considered when interpreting facial expressions and gestures. In some cultures, certain gestures may have entirely different meanings, which leads to potential miscommunication. Now, being mindful of cultural norms can help ensure that your non-verbal communication is understood as intended. As you have seen, our face and gestures are like emotional amplifiers, but there's more to non-verbal communication. Let's talk about eye contact and posture. Now, these subtle cues can either build trust or create distance. Let's take a closer look. Eye contact and posture. Eye contact and posture are two more essential components of non-verbal communication. Now, these cues can convey confidence, attentiveness, trustworthiness, and even dominance. How you use your eyes and how you position your body during interactions can influence the way your message is being received. Let's talk about the importance of eye contact. Now, eye contact is one of the most powerful non-verbal cues in communication. It can express a wide range of emotions from interest and empathy to suspicion or aggression. Maintaining appropriate eye contact helps establish trust and rapport, whereas avoiding eye contact may suggest discomfort, dishonesty, or lack of confidence. Next, we'll talk about establishing trust. Maintaining eye contact during conversations signals attentiveness and interest. It shows that you are being engaged in the interaction and that you value the other person's input. Let's say, for instance, during a job interview, making consistent eye contact with the interviewer conveys confidence and sincerity. So next time when you go for job interview, make sure that you have a proper eye contact with the interviewer. Then we have signaling attention. Now, when you look at someone while they're speaking, it shows that you are paying attention. Conversely, looking away may suggest disinterest or lack of focus. Next, we have cultural differences. The appropriate amount of eye contact can vary depending on cultural norms. In some cultures, too much of eye contact may be seen as aggressive or being disrespectful, while in others, it is expected as a sign of respect and attentiveness. Next, we have posture and its significance. Your posture, or the way you position your body, communicates volume about how you feel and how you want to be perceived. The posture can indicate confidence, openness, defensiveness, or even submission. Let's have a quick differentiation between open versus closed posture. An open posture, where the body faces the person directly with arms uncrossed and shoulders relaxed, signals openness and receptiveness. Now, closed postures, just crossing your arms or turning your body away, suggests discomfort or resistance. Next up, we have power posture. Standing tall with shoulders back and chest out is associated with confidence and authority. Now, adopting such a posture can not only influence how others perceive you, but can also boost your own sense of self-assurance. Slumped posture, like slouching or hunched soldiers, can convey lack of confidence or fatigue. It may also suggest that you are disengaged from the conversation. Next, let's talk about the impact of eye contact and posture on communication. Your eye contact and posture combined can reinforce or contradict your verbal message. Let's say, for example, if you're delivering a confident message but avoiding eye contact or you're slouching, then your words may not be taken seriously. On the other hand, if you maintain eye contact and you stand tall, your words will carry more weight and be perceived as more credible. Eye contact and posture also plays role in non-verbal cues of dominance and submission. For example, in hierarchical relationships, such as between a manager and an employee, the manager may maintain more direct eye contact and use expansive body language, while the employee might avert their gaze and adopt a more reserved posture. Powerful stuff, isn't it? These non-verbal signals, whether it's look, a gesture, or a stance, can change the entire meaning of what we are saying. Now, let's bring it all together in Module 4 as we will explore how communication plays out in different real-world settings. Non-verbal communications is a very important aspect of how we interact and connect with others. Through body language, facial expressions, gestures, eye contact, and posture, we communicate emotions, intentions, and attitudes in ways that words alone cannot convey. Mastering these nonverbal cues can significantly enhance your ability to communicate effectively, build rapport, and influence others. By being aware of your own body language and interpreting these nonverbal cues of others, you can improve the clarity and impact of your message, create stronger connections, and avoid misunderstanding. Remember that nonverbal communication is a very powerful tool that works alongside verbal communication, which helps you reinforce and amplify the message you wish to convey. Welcome to our Module 4, Communication in Different Settings. Now, communication is a skill that transcends personal conversations and touches upon various settings, each requiring distinct strategies and approaches. So whether you're engaging in professional communication, delivering a presentation, or resolving a conflict, the context in which communication takes place can significantly shape how messages are received and understood. So in this module, we will focus on 3 critical settings where communication plays a vital role: professional communication, public speaking and presentations, and conflict resolution as well. Mastering these areas can help you navigate complex situations effectively and enhance your communication abilities across different domains. Let's talk about professional communication. Now, professional communication is essential in the workplace as it impacts collaboration, decision making, and productivity. The ability to communicate effectively in a professional setting is often a key determinant of career success. So, whether interacting with colleagues or supervisors or even clients, the way you convey information can influence how you are perceived, and that can impact the outcomes of the communication process. Let's talk about the importance of professional communication. Now, in a professional environment, communication serves several key purposes. First is your information sharing. Professional communication is often used to exchange information. So whether it's about task, your project, deadlines, or changes in policy, clear communication ensures that all the team members are on the same page and reduce the risk of misunderstandings. Second is your building relationship. The way we communicate in a professional setting also contribute to relationship building. Open and respectful communication can help create trust between co-workers, supervisors, and clients, while poor communication can lead to frustration, confusion, and strained relationships. Next, we've got decision making and problem solving. Effective communication is very important for making informed decisions and solving problems in a timely manner. So when information is not conveyed clearly, decisions can be delayed and problems can escalate. Now, there are some key principles of professional communication. Let's have a look on that. First is your clarity and precision. In a professional settings, time is often limited and decisions need to be made very quickly. Now, clear and precise communication will reduce the chance of errors and ensures that messages are being understood and intended. You should avoid jargon unless necessary. Use simple, straightforward language. Next up, we have active listening. Now, effective communication involves not only speaking clearly, but also listening attentively. Now, active listening demonstrates respect and helps build rapport with colleagues. Now, by paying close attention to others, you can better understand their concerns, you can clarify their needs, and can also provide relevant feedback. Next up, we have tone and professionalism. You know that tone plays a very significant role in professional communication. A polite and respectful tone conveys professionalism and fosters positive working relationships. So whether communicating via email, phone, or in person, maintain a tone that reflects your understanding of the context and the recipient's role. Next, we have non-verbal cues. Now, professional communication isn't limited to words. Body language, your facial expressions, and posture can all send very powerful messages. Let's say, for example, maintaining eye contact during a conversation can convey confidence and attentiveness, while crossing your arms might suggest defensiveness or lack of engagement. Next up, we have adaptability. Each professional setting may require different communication styles. You may need to adjust your approach depending on whether you are talking to a superior, your peer, or client. Adapting your communication style to the situation ensures that you are conveying your message in the most appropriate manner. Let's talk about some channels of professional communication. First up, you have written communication. Now, in many professional environments, written communication such as emails, memos, and reports are standard. While communicating in writing, it's important to be concise and to ensure that the message is clear and error-free. Pay attention to tone, as written communication can sometimes be misinterpreted due to lack of vocal tone as well as your body language. Then we have verbal communication. Now, verbal communication includes a face-to-face interaction, your phone calls, and video conferencing. Now, these interactions offer the advantage of immediate feedback, which allows for quick clarification of ideas. However, they also require attention to body language, your tone, and listening skills. Then we've got digital communication. Now, with the rise of digital communication tools such as Slack, Microsoft Teams, and Zoom, many workplaces now communicate virtually. Now, these platforms require a blend of written and verbal communication skills and often involve a mix of synchronous and asynchronous communications. Being adept to these tools efficiently is essential for modern professional communication. Being clear and respectful in professional settings is key, but sometimes you need to go beyond one-to-one chats and speak to a room full of people. Up next, let's learn about how to shine in public speaking and presentations. Public speaking and presentations. Public speaking and delivering presentations are key skills that can be used in many different professional and social settings. So whether giving a speech at a conference, presenting a project proposal, or leading a meeting, the ability to communicate effectively in front of your audience is a valuable skill. However, for many, the thought of speaking in public can be intimidating. Not to overcome this, it's very important to develop both your verbal and non-verbal communication skills to deliver engaging, clear, and persuasive presentations. Let's now talk about the importance of public speaking and presentations. Now, public speaking and presentations serve a variety of purposes, which includes educating and informing. Now, whether delivering a training session, conducting a webinar, or presenting research findings, public speaking is often used to share your knowledge and educate an audience. Next is persuading and influencing. Public speaking is also an essential tool for persuasion, whether pitching an idea to investors or convincing colleagues to adopt a new strategy. The goal is to influence the audience's thoughts and actions. Next, we'll talk about how to inspire action. You know that motivational speakers use public speaking to inspire their audiences that take action. A well-delivered presentation can energize and motivate an audience to change their behavior, adopt new practices, or even support a cause. Let's have some tips for effective public speaking. First of all, know your audience. Understanding the background, the interests, and expectation of your audience is very crucial when preparing your presentation. Tailor your message to meet their needs and address their concerns. Let's say, for instance, a presentation for a senior executive might focus more on strategic outcomes, while a talk for employees might focus on practical steps and team involvement. Then we have structuring your presentation. A clear structure is very important for keeping your audience engaged and helping them follow your message. First, introduction, which captures attention and state the purpose of the presentation. The main body, present key points in logical sequence with supporting evidence and examples. Conclusion, summarizing the key takeaways and providing a call to action. Practice, rehearse your presentation very multiple times to ensure that you are comfortable with the material and the flow. Practicing in front of the mirror with a colleague or even recording yourself can help identify areas for your improvement. Next is engaging your audience. Now, a good speaker knows exactly how to engage the audience and to make the presentation interactive. You need to ask questions, you can use humor, you can tell stories, and make the presentation relatable. Engaging the audience ensures they stay focused and retains information better. Now, let's talk about how you can master non-verbal communication. Your body language, your facial expressions, and eye contact are just as important as your words when delivering a presentation. You can use purposeful gestures to emphasize key points, maintain eye contact to build trust, and stand tall with a confident posture to project authority. You should know how to handle nervousness. Now, it's very normal to feel nervous before speaking in public. Deep breathing, positive visualization, and focusing on your message rather than on yourself can help calm your nerve and allow you to perform at your best. Presenting ideas clearly can make a big difference, but what about when conversations get heated? Now, let's wrap up this module by learning how to handle tough situations with grace through effective conflict resolution. What exactly is conflict resolution? Now, conflicts are an inevitable part of life and work. So whether between colleagues, clients, or friends, misunderstandings and disagreements are bound to rise. However, how you handle conflict can make all the difference in the outcome of the situation. Effective communication is the key to resolving conflicts in a constructive manner and turning a potentially negative situations into a positive one. Let's look at some importance of conflict resolution. First of all, effective conflict resolution helps to prevent escalation. Now, when conflicts are addressed clearly and effectively, they are less likely to escalate and cause long-term damage to relationships or team dynamics. Next is maintaining healthy relationships. Conflict can strain relationships, but when handled properly, it can lead to greater understanding and even stronger connections. Effective conflict resolution helps preserve trust and collaboration. Improve problem solving. Conflict often arises when differing perspectives or goals clash. Through open communications, you can work together and find solutions that satisfy both the parties, leads to better outcomes and greater cooperation. First of all, listen actively. One of the first steps in resolving conflict is to listen carefully to all the parties involved. Allow each person to express their concerns without interruption. Now, this ensures that everyone feels heard and valued, which can reduce defensiveness. Next up is acknowledging emotions. Conflicts often involve strong emotions. Now, you need to acknowledge these emotions and empathize with the other person's perspective. Validating emotions can help create an atmosphere of understanding as well as respect. Next, identify the issue. Clearly define the issue at hand. This involves understanding the root cause of the conflict and clarifying the needs and concerns of each party. Avoid getting sidetracked by peripheral issues or personal attacks. Collaborate on solutions. Encourage open dialogue to brainstorm potential solutions rather than just approaching the conflict as a zero-sum game. Work collaboratively to find a resolution that satisfied everyone involved. This may require compromise and flexibility on both the sides. Maintain a calm tone during conflict resolution. It's very important to maintain calm and composed tone. Avoid raising your voice or using hostile languages, as this can escalate the situation. A calm demeanor can help diffuse tension and promote more productive conversation. Next is follow-up. After a resolution has been reached, follow up with the involved parties to ensure that the solution is working and that no further issues have arisen. Ongoing communication can help prevent future conflicts and ensure that relationships remain intact. So in this module, we have explored 3 critical aspects of communication in different settings: professional communication, public speaking and presentations, and even conflict resolution. Now, each of these settings requires unique approach to communication, but all rely on the fundamental principles of clarity, empathy, and respect. Mastering professional communication allows you to navigate the workplace effectively, while public speaking and presentations provide opportunities to influence and inspire audiences. Conflict resolution, on the other hand, helps preserve relationships and resolve disagreements in a constructive way. Now, by owning your communication skills in these areas, you can enhance effectiveness in both personal and professional settings, strengthening your relationships and contributing to more positive and productive environment. Communication is an invaluable skill, and the ability to adapt your approach to different contexts is key to becoming a more effective communicator in all the aspects of life. Congratulations on finishing this course. Thank you and keep learning.
Staying ahead in your career requires continuous learning and upskilling. Whether you're a student aiming to learn today's top skills or a working professional looking to advance your career, we've got you covered. Explore our impressive catalog of certification programs in cutting-edge domains, including data science, cloud computing, cybersecurity, AI, machine learning, or digital marketing. Designed in collaboration with leading universities and top corporations and delivered by industry experts, choose any of our programs and set yourself on the path to career success. Click the link in the description to know more.
Hi there, if you like this video, subscribe to the Simplilearn YouTube channel and click here to watch similar videos. To nerd up and get certified, click here.